Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Mystic in Training podcast with me, Melissa Amos. Something happened last night in my soul space call that I wasn't going to bring to the podcast, but it felt so monumental. And since this call, which was a little over 12 hours ago at the time of recording this, it is still pulsing through my body. And whilst the channeling will stay in soul space, the message wants to go beyond. The teaching that came through seems so practical and so important, especially as we are coming, as we listen to this, to the end of the year and moving into a new cycle. And this was what they wanted to speak about. Now, a lot of what came through has been hovering, I suppose, in my awareness and I'm sure in many others' awarenesses, but the way that it was translated and the magnitude of what is what is possible and the potential really wanted to come through onto this platform, because it feels to me like we're standing on the edge of something huge, and your body, the cells, already know. So let's talk about that shift that's been happening that you might have been aware of on some level, like me, but until now haven't had the language for. So we can think about intuition and we can think about clarity. And this is the point. We're so used to thinking our way into these situations. We're so used to rationalizing and organizing and getting the right mindset and learning the tools and even tuning into our gut to find our way to intuition, to find our way into becoming. But the biggest message that came through the channel was this: your cells in your body, the actual molecules that are sitting in your body, have been upgrading for a long time. And they've been doing this all the while, whilst we have been analyzing and logicalizing and even wondering what on earth is going on. And our mind has been trying to play catch up with something that has been naturally happening in our body. Now, the last few years, many of us have been going through some quite intense times, that we've been having a lot of moments that have been changing the way that we've been maybe thinking about the world or the way that we've been experiencing things. And it can often feel like we've got this like onslaught of information coming in, or these onslaughts of like rites of passage or initiations. But how they explained it last night was, it wasn't so much about a relearning, that these experiences have been coming through because they've been dismantling something. It's like these experiences and these lessons, we can call them, have actually been like a vibrational clear out, that they've been a recalibration of your cells in your body and then moving into an identity level. What they explained was that from 2022, we've been in this radical dismantling to prepare us in for these new times that are ahead. They started to speak about how our body, especially over the last 3 decades and before, but over the last 3 decades especially, have been upgrading on a cellular level, that we have been moving from this carbon based base, which, you think about carbon, it's quite heavy. Oh, I just had an insight. When we think about alchemy, that we took carbon, we took lead and we turned it to gold. And this physical process is now happening in our body, in our being, naturally. And for those of us that have been open to ascension or experiencing more love or more connection or more spirit or more soul in our lives, in our human experience, it's been happening. It's been happening anyway. but it's been more, should we say, rapid. They actually said that this is happening for the majority of humanity, which kind of makes sense as to why so many of us feel like we're losing our minds. But actually, if you think back to the last 3 years, particularly, how much has changed, how much your body feels different, how differently you're responding to things, how you are perhaps walking through the world differently, how you are responding and reacting to things differently, how you're seeing things through a different lens. This is all part of this new way of navigating the world. And it seems to me, from what was being said yesterday, that it's like it's part of this grand plan that I think many of us didn't even know we were a part of, but we are. And so these things that have been happening have been initiations. I think that's the best word for it. They've been initiations that we can dismantle the foundations that we have built that have been on an old way of living, that have been on an old paradigm. And the process has already begun because what they said was come middle part of next year, there will be this huge acceleration into this way of light. But what they said next was really interesting. Who we were in 2022 and before that, we were radically different. If you cast your mind back even to the last 12 months, I don't know about you, but I feel very different in my body. And the journey to getting from there to here may have felt chaotic, but it wasn't chaos. It was preparation. Your system wasn't breaking, it was clearing the debris so that your real direction and your real light can be held in the body, can be held in your consciousness, can then be your guide. And what they said was that while so many of us are using our mind and our brain and our consciousness to discover our way through to intuition, that it's actually ourselves that are the key. That your body is your, I think the words they said was your intuitive compass. Your intuition isn't in your head, they're in your cells. And as your cells have been growing and holding more light, if you like, they're responding and reacting differently to the world. They are responding to actually your they as they said it, your the meaning that you make of the world and the stories that you're telling yourself, and the inner landscape is having this direct feedback with your cells. And they gave us a practice, actually a 21-day practice that I'm doing with my members of Soul Space now. I was not prepared for this, but they invited us to bring our awareness into ourselves. You can do this now with me if you like. I was doing it on my walk this morning and it blew my mind. Just bringing your awareness, your consciousness into a cell in your body. Doesn't matter which one, in your heart, in your head, in your belly. For me, interestingly, it's in my right arm, but here we go. So bring your attention, bring your awareness into a cell. Imagine they took us on like a spaceship ride through our body into a cell, and imagine that you are entering your consciousness directly into the molecule through the membrane into the cell. And just notice, just observe, how full of light is it? How vibrant is it? How many or how much is filled with shadow? as you think and as you bring attention and awareness and different thoughts into your mind, how does the cell respond? When you say to yourself, I love you, what happens to your cell or your experience of the cell? How you see it, how you feel it, how you notice it. Maybe there's colors, maybe there's shapes, maybe there's a sound, maybe there's a clarity. Just notice. And when you're in your unconscious patternings, how are your cells responding? This practice can literally take that much time. What was that, a minute, 2 minutes? And it will begin to help you navigate actually what's really going on, how your body, your new intuitive compass, is literally responding. And I'm adding this missing piece in, how it's then contributing to how we're walking through the world. Because if we think that the universe is responding to us, it is not just responding to our thoughts. The universe is responding to our vibration. And guess what our cells are? They are a physical manifestation of our vibration. And so if our cells are changing, and if our cells are holding more light, and if our cells are responsive to our inner world, maybe that's the key and the clue as to what the universe is then responding to us, what we are becoming a vibrational match for. And this is how we change our reality through our inner world. And so, this practice of just simply for 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds in the day, just going, what's going on in my cells right now? If I bring my consciousness to it, what happens? How am I feeling? How am I responding? Is this good for me or not? And then over time, we'll start to realize actually how our cells are expanding, are growing, are responding, how much light they are able to hold. Because it seems to me that this isn't a finite cell that is just like, well, this is how much you've got from 0 to 100. That 100% can keep on growing. What do they say? As without, so within, the universe is expanding, so are your cells. But what is it expanding into? Now, this morning, I was going for my walk as I do, and I was blessed with this beautiful day. I've just come off the channeling, 12 hours later or whatever it was, and my body is still holding that frequency. It's a magnificent thing about listening or being a channel. And so I was walking and I was enjoying it. And then I remembered the practice. And so I'm walking and the sun was shining. And as I often do, I brought the sun to my third eye and I let this light hit and I tuned into that. And I started to realize how my actual physical cells were absorbing the light and what light it was absorbing, because I believe you'll get really good at this and start to tune into the codings and the intelligence that sits in these beams of light. And so I was consciously absorbing it. I was telling my cells like it's safe to do so. I was in this beauty of I'm connected to all that is. I'm connected into the light of the world. I am connected into this high frequency and I'm letting my cells absorb it. Rather than, if we're honest, what often happens that we are moving through life with all of our issues and our problems and our concerns and our tasks and all of this. And that is what our cells are absorbing every day. Now, they're not going to go away. I've still got the tasks to do. But honestly, I've come here and sat down and I am like, I feel so alive. I feel so excited to be bringing this message through, to be doing my work today. Like that, I'm not leaving that at the door. That becomes me. And maybe some of you more sensitive listeners can feel that in the frequency of my voice. And so this is changing. Like this is changing how we are responding. And there's so much more, but I don't want this episode to be like super long. So maybe we'll move into the next one about how we are moving into a new cycle, because I think this is really important. if you go back to the episodes that I shared on energy protection, there was a deepening of that. So I think that's an important conversation. But the main thing that I really want you to understand, and that the channel really wanted to bring through last night, was we are closing a cycle. The mm, experiences that we've been having have all been there for the reason of upgrade. Oh, I've got something really exciting to share about ascension symptoms too. So I'm going to do that next week. But we're changing, we are reorganizing your body, the universe, your guides, your soul is literally reorganizing your physicality. You're not imagining it. The chaos that you've been feeling and the confusion that you've been feeling has literally been a reorganization of the system. So part of you is like, what on earth is going on? But what's happening, and as we allow this and as we work with this and as we're conscious of it, we begin to work with it. And this energetic cycle that we've been in, particularly for the last 12, 13 years, since 2012, and they also said for the last 3 decades, is coming to a close. Numerologically, we're also at the end of a 9-year cycle. They said it's longer. It's been longer than that. And I believe the astrology is lining up to what the channel was bringing through last night. But we're moving into something epic. We're moving into a real phase of acceleration, and it is our cells, and particularly the light that we hold in our cell body, that's going to be the key to moving forward. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to come back next week and speak to you about the energetic body and the way that we navigate through the world from now. If this stirred something in you, this is exactly the work that we are doing inside of Soul Space. Learning to live from this intelligence that's already awakening within you. Soul Space is open right now for applications. So you can reply to me or you can get in touch. And whether that's true for you or not, just for today, just listen, be present. Your body is wiser than your mind realizes. Your body is literally recalibrating in this moment, and your soul is using that current to speak more clearly than ever before. Our job right now is to notice, to be aware, and to remember how to listen. I will see you next time.